We'll make note that Mrs. Giro is remote via Webex. Harriman.
Here.
Mrs. Barat. Mr. Maloney. Mr. Marin. Mr. McCabe.
Here.
Mr. Murdoch.
Here.
Saunders.
Here.
Ms. Sears.
Here.
Mr. Spillings.
Here.
Mr. St. Pierre.
Here.
Mrs. Watton. We have 9 board members present.
Megan, I did hear, I just couldn't answer right when you called my name.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
So I'll take a minute to do the introduction of all present. Start with Michelle.
Michelle Friedman, CVES.
Oh, Chef Evan, CD10. Chef Adam, CD10.
Lauren Coleman. Amy Campbell, CVES. Kristen Meyer, CVES.
Justin Parker.
Eric Bell, CVS.
Alex St. Pierre, CVS.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. St. Pierre online. We do have Mike and Amy from Weston Company.
Oh, all right. Welcome to our meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I guess we're going to do the audit presentation before we do anything else.
Yes, so Mr. St. Pierre, I'm going to ask Mr. Bell to give an introduction for us. We are very fortunate to have our long-term auditors from Weston Company. And previous to this meeting, we did have an audit committee meeting as well. So there was a recommendation that the audit committee did recommend. So I'm going to just ask Mr. Bell, who is our assistant superintendent for management services, and Mrs. Myers, who is our BOCES treasurer, who was also part of that audit committee and an important role in that. So Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Dr. Davey. It's my pleasure to introduce Mike Rossi and Amy Pedrick from Weston Company. They work closely with our audit committee as well as our management services team led by Christine Myers, our treasurer, this year to complete our 2021 fiscal audit. I'm pleased with the results of the audit, and they're coming to you with what I would call good news. So I thank Weston Company for being here today, but also for being a partner with our team, our management services team, 12 months out of the year. It's a daily basis that we interact with them whenever something new comes up or if there's challenges that we meet. They're a partner of ours to make sure that we do it right on site. So when they get here, the audit is complete and ready for them and without issue. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to, I believe Amy's going to kick us off in this one.
No, Eric, I'm going to kick us off.
Sorry, all right, I guess we can.
As Dr. Davey said, the 5-point plan requires us to meet with the audit committee. We go through the draft, we answer any questions the audit committee makes, and then the audit committee makes that recommendation to the board to accept the audit. The audit committee's also asked us to come in front of the board and give a brief overview of the findings of the audit. So the audit is very similar to last year. There was only one new governmental accounting standard board pronouncement, number 84, that changed the financial statements. But the financial statements, as usual, start with our opinion. That's what we do as a profession. We attach opinions to management's financial statement. And at the bottom of page 1, it does say, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. That is an unmodified opinion, a clean opinion, and the opinion you've received in the past. The audit then goes into management discussion and analysis, which is a snapshot view of the BOCES, and it gives the reader a chance to read a few pages and have an understanding of the BOCES. The financial statements also, because of GASB 34, include full accrual basis of accounting books. New York State does not allow us to keep our books on the full accrual basis. On the full accrual basis, we do have a deficit net position. After the full accrual, we have modified accrual, and that is how we keep our books. And the balance sheet for the modified accrual basis of accounting shows that the BOCES is in a very strong financial position at this time. We do have a rather large fund balance in our capital fund. And as we discussed with the audit committee, the reason for this large fund balance in the capital fund is the component districts funded the project completely in 2020. In doing so, they've given us the money to do the capital project. And a lot of the capital project happened after June 30, 2021. So a lot of that fund balance eroded from June 30, 2021 until now. So when the capital projects are done, the only thing that'll be left in the capital fund is the CTE reserve, which is a very important reserve for BOCES because the cost of equipment is very expensive. After those statements, we have notes to the financial statements. Notes to the financial statements are an integral part of the audit. They provide a lot of detail as to what happened in the BOCES for the year, a lot on the significant accounting policies, etc. Then we have the second opinion from Weston Company. Because this is a yellow book audit and we actually do the financial statements for management, we have to make the decision if management could have done the financial statements and we could have opined on them. And here again, there are no issues with the internal controls at the BOCES. It's a clean opinion, no modifications of the opinion. After that, because the BOCES spent more than $750,000 of federal aid, we have to do a compliance audit for the federal government. And here again, we've done the compliance audit. We actually audited the school lunch program at the BOCES this year. Because of the free-for-all lunches under the CARES Act, the school lunch program rose to a level that it's normally not at. And we audited it and we found it in compliance with the federal guidelines. So that is a clean opinion. Lastly, in the financial statements, there is an audit of the extra classroom activity funds. At the beginning of the report, I mentioned that there was one new GASB 84. GASB 84 moved the extra classroom activity funds into the actual funds of the school district, or excuse me, BOCES. Prior to that, they were in what was called trust and agency. So a group of us asked New York State to not have the audit for the extra classroom activity funds anymore, since it was now part of the funds of the BOCES. But New York State came back and said, no, we still want that. The board has oversight and we want to see that audit. So we did perform that audit. That audit is on the cash basis, and we do have a modification of our opinion. We audit 27 other school districts, four other BOCES, and all of them have that modification that says there's insufficient accounting controls over receipts. And all that means is we don't audit at the time there's an event. We audit from when the money goes into the bank, and we audit from when a check is written. From that standpoint, the extra classroom activity funds were also in really good shape. And if there's any questions from the audit committee or any board members, we'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Anybody have anything? I think we're quite satisfied with your answers. Oh, yes, the audit committee have anything to add? As well smoothly as you expected?
Went over it. Mike and Amy went over it very thoroughly and explained it in great detail. Any issues that arose, they explained why they came up with it. The resolution might be so. And Eric did a good job of,
Well,
point out.
thank you, everyone on the audit committee, and thank you, folks, for doing our audit for us. Glad we have a good report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you. Have a nice night.
Bye.
We'll mail you cookies.
Okay.
And so
So we're on to the board appreciation.
yes. Okay, The next item on the agenda is the Board Appreciation Month. And it's our privilege, as is customary within our school districts in New York State, to acknowledge the service, the dedication, the commitment of our BOCES and Board of Education boards. As we know, the Board of BOCES is a Board of Cooperative Education Services. Many of our board members are part of or have served or are serving as members of your local boards of education as well. It's a long-standing commitment of leadership in your community and dedication to supporting the students from your community and help prepare and support the future and their education as they move forward, and to help prepare them for success in life and be good citizens. With that said, it's our privilege as a BOCES to acknowledge, as CVES, to acknowledge your board service, your dedication, your commitment, and your hard work that has resulted in so much support for our staff, for our administrators, and our students over many years. Mr. Smith, we are in our 72nd year. I know we'll be celebrating our 75th year coming up in the future, but 72 years is an amazing level of dedication and support for our North Country schools. This BOCES board and the board members have made a big difference in providing leadership and support to our component districts, but also supporting the very fabric of what we do on a daily basis. With that said, it's my privilege and opportunity to share our appreciation, and each board member has a certificate of appreciation that acknowledges that the Board Appreciation Week and Recognition Week is October 18th through the 22nd. And it shares on behalf of our students, staff, and administrative team at CVES and our 16 component school districts. We thank you, our board members, for your leadership and commitment in guiding our organization and service to our students, staff, and the community. As leaders, you help strengthen our education system and improve future prospects for our children. You devote many hours to elementary and secondary public education, as together we continually strive for improvement, excellence, and progress in education. On behalf of Champlain Valley Educational Services, all of our staff, our administrators, and all of our component districts, we want to thank you and acknowledge your service. Thank you so much. Just have to staff our team there. So thank you. And with that said, as part of our special celebration, we have our CV Tech team. Mrs. Friedman is as our Director of Career and Technical Education. I'm going to ask you to please recognize our team. We have a special treat. We have two special treats, but tonight to start off, Mrs. Friedman, if I could ask you to introduce our team and to explain part of our celebration tonight.
Dr. Digi, thank you so much, and thank you all for the work that you continually do for the Champlain Valley. The CV Tech division has the privilege of having two of the most accomplished chefs in the North Country teaching our students all of their expertise. And on all of our behalf, we would like to thank you for your continued dedication to our core beliefs. And first and foremost, that students are our first priority. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Chefs Bevan and Chef Tanner, who lead our culinary arts department. We also have Chef Missick, who leads our food service program, who could not be here this evening. And for the past, a few days, they've been busy with you in mind to give you guys some spectacular treats. Often we don't have the opportunity to have students attend our board meeting so that you could see directly the effect that your work has on their paths. So tonight it's our privilege to be here, and I'll turn it over to chefs to introduce your students.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chef Bevan. It's been skipped last year, and it's just really nice to be in person again. and to be able to have all of our students every day of the week so we can make sure that we get the best possible learning experience. We made a ton of desserts out there for you. There's a lot of calories in that hallway. Again, we appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Davey. Thank you to the board for what you do for us. Thank you, our guiding light, Ms. Friedman over at CV Tech. It's been an interesting couple of years, I'm not gonna lie. Just crazy, a whirlwind, and it's still going. And we all know that, but our students are doing great. We've got a couple of great classes this year. Very, very different from a couple of years past, and some tough groups, but we got really great groups this year and a lot of talent. We've also, another thing is we sent 4 students to the same school that me and Chef Tanner went to last year. So they're on path to the CIA down in Poughkeepsie. So there's a lot of good things happening. And I appreciate it.
Chef Tanner, thank you all so much. Awesome new building. It's great seeing everyone in person again. We look forward to seeing you all in a couple weeks. Holiday. Yes. Glad it's back again this year. So thank you all so much.
So homeschool Bateman County. Want to go to college here in Cowboy. So
Please Lawrence, school, very small school, but a lot different being in city tech, college board of business and papers. Would you mind sharing with the board your decision to come to city tech? What was it that grabbed your attention? So they started showing us city tech that and wanted to try it. I always looked at AKA, so I decided to make a choice. Which chefs are great. And Josh has a special connection too. His mom, Jen Parker, many of you know, who is one of our esteemed conservation teachers. So there's a CD Tech running blood, I think, right? So I think your experience about knowing about CV Tech started long before me first. Are you happy with your decision to be here?
yeah.
All right.
Just want you to know we're looking,
Any questions?
we're looking forward to the holiday.
Oh, yes.
Every year.
New technology to the game this year. Let's do these some stuff for you. Interesting.
So what do we have out? What are the scouts that are?
Oh my gosh. Chef Tanner is pretty good at making whoopie pies, so there's some amazing pumpkin whoopie pies out there. We have cheesecake with berry coulis. We've got all the standard cookies that we always put out. Creme brulee. We make some creme brulee, which is always a nice hit. Yeah, some apple cupcake, apple caramel cupcakes. Yeah, dessert choice great. Yeah, it's definitely.
There's to-go boxes.
Oh, yeah. Share with the family. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, on behalf of the board, we appreciate the recognition and especially the desserts. But our biggest payback is when we see the success stories that you bring to us, from the students that participate in this institution. That's what we live for, to see things like that, good things happen. Thank you very much for working together.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having the audit though, too.
So you just want to take 5 minutes and sell and grab some treats?
Do you want to get some desserts now, or do you want to wait till?
You now family.
Okay, we can take 5.
Okay. Yes, I do.
I'm going to get a cookie. Yes, please. Uh-huh.
Mr. Saunders comes back in, if you're okay there.
Yep. See, meeting?
Just make sure that Mr. Salisbury and
Oh, there it was. Mr. Spilling is back. All set to go. All right, so executive session is next. We need a motion.
Sure, and before we move into that, could I just make one other additional comment? As part of our board celebration, we also have a special gift from our special education students, and Mr. Slattery is en route. But I am going to ask Ms. Campbell to just share a little bit about this as well, and the meaning and specialness of the gift from our students.
What you have in front of you was constructed in the art classes with Mrs. Palmer. And she helped the students design and create this votive folder. There's Mr. Slattery now. So each one is uniquely designed. It has one common thread, but then each other piece was designed by the students as a thank you board members for everything you do for us. And then you provide it with the votive, and when you turn it on, it does look very nice. Dr. Davies turn it on there.
Yeah.
So each, and because it was done in our class, and all of the students take part at some cycle, every student had a hand in these for you. Did I say anything?
Yeah, we appreciate everyone's support. Volunteerism, being part of the board. And yeah, this is Superintendent Campbell said, each of our students had a say and participated in each of those creations. So,
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank
Very
you.
nice.
Thank you, Mr. Slattery, Ms. Palmer as well, and all of our students.
yes.
Very much appreciated.
Okay, so now we need a motion for executive session.
Yeah.
So Lisa, second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Now executive session.
And then President St. Pierre, if I could just share in terms of the
Mrs. Spilling, I am going to mute us.
Okay, thank you.
Some concerns from the audience before we move on? Anybody have anything pressing urgency? Okay. Nope. Capital project update.
Okay, so I'm going to just acknowledge that our construction is continuing. It's nice to be in our new building and our renovated building. And the fact that we're now this evening holding our first board meeting in our new conference space. Kudos to our entire construction team, and Mr. Bell has been helping lead the charge. But with the board's support, it's been coming to fruition. As you know, you've been continuing to get updates of pictures and the siding's going on. We're still awaiting windows and doors and different things, but the fact that our technology system is becoming operational, there's still some fine tuning and updates. We're not there yet for a formal, ribbon cutting and having everything in place, but we do want to plan that out as we go forward. So this is kind of our soft opening, so to speak. And just an acknowledgement, our bathrooms are to my right, through that exit sign, both men's and women's. And lastly, we also have acknowledged that if we need to exit in an emergency, we've talked about contentious board meetings. We do have a plan to be able to exit to my left, and then actually move to my office, which has lockable doors and so on and so forth. So it will also have an exit door, so we could leave through my office. So we do have a future plan if needed, but we do want to acknowledge that this building does meet code. It's operational. Our certificate of occupancy, we're in a good place and moving forward. So I want to thank our team, but also acknowledge, it's wonderful to be in our new setting. So Mr. Bell, I'm going to ask you to just jump in now and share some further updates.
Thank you, Dr. Davey. You're spot on with everything that you just said. So appreciate that, because today is a day of celebration of many hard years of work, especially by this board. You got to realize that this has been over 5 years in the works, might even be over 6 years to get to where we are today. And I will say to the board, you made it, right? You made it. You're here. We're not done yet. We still got a ways to go, but this is a special moment. Celebrate it, enjoy it. And Dr. Davey, thank you for those words that you gave to us. The one thing I want to point out too is we had a hard deadline for getting out of ISC. Our lease ended as of September 30th. Dr. Davey had negotiated with TDC extenders for that lease, but we didn't want to charge the component districts those fees. We wanted to get into our new space and hold that hard deadline. So we did move in and we met that deadline. We moved out of ISC. So just like if you ever lived in a house for over 30 years, imagine if you had 30, 25 people that lived in a office building for over 30 years. It was quite the undertaking, more than I think any of us truly expected. And the one thing that truly impressed me was the instructional services staff, the management services staff, the district office staff, and our O&M team that just stepped up and rose to that challenge and looked in the face and said, we're going to get this done. At one point, I know our team came together and said, yeah, we're going to need at least 2 more months. And it's like, no, that's not going to happen. We can have. So the team came together, worked nights, they worked weekends. All of our staff did that, not just a select few, and it truly was impressive. With everything being said, we're not quite there yet. You may recall our contracts for this project identified a substantial completion date of December 1st. So we're pushing towards completion of a December 1st date. This building is a month and a half left of construction. We're going to need that to do all the work that we have to get done. And I'll point out, like Dr. David mentioned, the technology in this space. This is a patch job right now. It's been a scramble, and Alex St. Pierre has worked with Core BTS to make this work. It doesn't look like a patch job because a lot of time and effort went in to get us here. I would say we're 50% operational at this point. A lot of our pieces are in place, but the big components to actually make this work aren't. So what you see right now is just a precursor to what you'll see at our next board meeting while we're up here. We really want to blow you away with what we can do in this space. So bear with us on that. Our windows have not been installed in this building. I'm sure you noticed that as you were walking up. We've been waiting on the trim pieces to the window, in particular a drip edge that goes across the top of the window. It was supposed to deliver 2 weeks ago, then a week ago, then Tuesday, which was yesterday. As of this morning, they said it's going to deliver tomorrow. So at least they only pushed it back 48 hours, not a week. So there's hope. So hopefully we get the call tomorrow that it is on the road. If it is on the road tomorrow, we'll start installing the windows next week. Fingers crossed. Siding on our building, we've made great progress. You can see that as you came in. That is ongoing. Certain parts of our project had to wait, such as condensing units that are attached to the side of the building, roof fascia that goes around. You see our roof flapping a little bit in the wind. That's waiting for the siding to be done. So all that's coming together. We're pushing towards the completion on the exterior side of this. When you exit, you'll see that our lights are on in our parking lot. That was a big step forward that we took this week. They're all lit. Our pole lights are lit. That's not the end of the light. We do have exterior building lighting that's not on yet. So just realize it will be dark around the building, and we know it. And our lights are on the way. They haven't arrived yet. They're expected to be here soon. We don't have a date yet, but it's going to light up the east side, which is your main entrance, as well as the south side of our building, better than what you'll see when you plumbing. We have an issue with plumbing. You've noticed our bathrooms are closed and out of order. We've worked with a local plumber to discover what the issue is. Now we're working with our construction team to fix that problem. So we'll continue to work with our team and our contractors to remedy that issue. And we're hopeful that we can do it here in the near future. And our goal is that no additional cost to CVES, and we can have a nice operating plumbing system for our south building. We have extra flooring work to be done. So you see certain areas that aren't complete, HVAC, as well as punch list items. So we're getting there, right? But again, it's a day celebration. We're thankful to be here today. We're thankful to be in our offices. Our staff have been very appreciative of being here. A lot of compliments. So for all that work that went into design, which I know a lot of you are a part of, it's really appreciative right now. They love the layout. They love the setup. Some of us love to just walk down the hall and be at a board meeting. It is nice, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback, even though those people that have moved in are in a construction zone. For example, on Monday when we were here, there was over 30 contractors working. So it's been a full-on construction zone since everybody's moved in, and we haven't heard complaints at all from the staff. They've been amazing. At our north building, you might have noticed as you came in, our new roof is on. So we had last meeting, we had no clue when it was coming. It did arrive on site. They installed the roof. You may notice it's two colors. They're both gray, different lot numbers. So they are going to fix that. They installed about half the roof, and we said, nope, we're not going to accept that. Trying the same lot number, they continue the rest of it, so they have a little bit that they have to pull off and fix. It's about a third of the roof, or a quarter of the roof, but that's going to be done. So if you did see the roof and it was different colors, it's not meant to be that way, and it's going to be fixed. I want to be brief. I went a little long, so I apologize. But any questions?
Great update. Sounds like we're getting there. And we love to hear it. Glad to hear that the staff is happy with everything that's been going on, because that's kind of important.
Yeah.
They're not happy, nobody's happy.
And Mr. Bell, if I could just acknowledge that, our staff and our O&M team, our staff has been cooperative. They've worked hard to be flexible. When asked to make adjustments, they have without grumbling. And it's just been part of the process. The same thing in our special education and CV Tech division. Staff has been amazing as we went through this process. And people recognized that we were under construction and in the improvement mode. And lastly, our O&M team has stepped up. You saw a lot of work that they've done. They've worked as partners and side by side with our contractors. So there's a lot of really positive kudos that goes around that the people really dedicated to doing this well, doing it right, and not taking shortcuts. So I just want to acknowledge that, it's been really a comprehensive and team effort. And it starts, with our entire staff and also our leadership team. And I know Mr. Brooks is not with us right now, but we do look forward to having him back. And I know Mr. Bell and our administrative team have really stepped up. And I know, Mr. Bell, thank you for your work and our O&M team's work as well. Thank you.
Strategic plan.
Okay.
Presentation.
So we do have our strategic plan presentation. So I'm actually going to go to the front, my first opportunity to do this. I'm going to move forward, but we have set a timeline that we're going to work with with our team leaders. So I want to acknowledge that this is our 8th strategic planning presentation. So I'm really pleased to acknowledge that. And I want to thank the board for your support of this and throughout our entire process. It's been an amazing and really productive opportunity for us to be successful, but also plan for the future. But the strategic planning, we know, is really about a comprehensive effort to make intentional improvements. And so we're so pleased to be presenting our strategic plan presentation tonight. And we know that we just had an outstanding presentation and board retreat, but also work of each of our teams with Sean Brady for our last time. You see a narrative a little bit about CVES and our continued work while the pandemic still continues. So what a privilege it is to be part of this process, but also to continue the good work and the hard work to make an improvement and continuously identify the areas that we can move forward successfully to improve for all of our students and staff in our component districts. So you can see just an overview about the strategic plan presentation. I want to thank our communications department as well for their assistance. I know Mrs. Jollifer, my secretary, was also involved, in all of our team members, our administrators, for helping develop our presentation, but it's really about the quality of the work. With that being said, with an introduction, our guiding principles, our 21 through 24 strategic plan performance measures, and then a divisional overview. You already have an overview about our strategic plan. We know that the foundation and the core principles of our strategic plan really boil down to our mission, our vision, and our core beliefs. This is something that the board has supported from the start. It's been updated, and we continue to embrace these core concepts as the taproot that drives deep. And there's the old adage that when the hurricane winds come and those trees have a deep taproot, they can withstand a lot of the forces of nature. And that's really what we're doing. We're anchoring our core mission, our values, to a deep taproot that we can continue to move forward successfully. With that said, we're really proud to continue to support our mission, vision, and our core beliefs as part of what we do and how we do it. I want to thank all of our DPT members, as well as our board members. Mr. Harriman, Mrs. Saunders, you've been long-term team members on our district planning team. Mr. Barkham was at the start as well. So many of you have served roles on our district planning team, but also it's our core leadership team made up of stakeholders from across our BOCES and even our component districts to really help us make those important decisions. And again, we had great facilitation from Sean Brady. Our divisional team members, an amazing group who also are committed to this process and continuing to really make the improvements at the divisional level, which then really align with our district planning team members as well. So kudos to every one of these team members and all the work that's happening. With that being said, you can see our priorities and our strategies. And I want to acknowledge that this year's work was some of the best work that we've ever undertaken. The work has been phenomenal every step of the way. And I'll share with you that this year, after a year of a virtual strategic planning process, this year actually was almost more comprehensive and more in-depth. And we literally went from the start when we began right until the last second of each session, the entire day. And it was with very extensive discussion and comprehensive updates. I'm just going to share with you, you see for our core priorities, you see several, you see the lead, deliver, support, and collaborate. You also see the priorities which are bolded as being the priorities which we have extra emphasis on. They're all important, but this year's core priorities: attract, support, and develop and retain high-quality employees. Ensure that our programs and services excel and foster creativity, innovation, and collaboration. Assess and address the expansive social, emotional, and mental health needs of our educational community, and build and embrace a culture of equity, inclusion, and acceptance. Again, the priority areas that are bolded have extra emphasis, but they're all important. And I want you to know that that was collectively developed by our district planning team, and the board supported and embraced that as part of our retreat. With that being said, you can also see our 17 through 21 performance trends and targets. There's definitely a continued trend for improvement. There have been some drops that have occurred. We acknowledge that the pandemic impacted us all in different ways. And was that the only reason? No, I think we don't want to lose our eye on the ball, and we also don't want to lose our focus. But you can see, for example, communications. When we started this, our communications were in the teens. We've improved all the way up 16, 17, 86, 85, 87, 93, 83. So continue as we move forward. You see not only so the areas that we've shown tremendous improvement, the support for our staff, the support for each other, the fact that the staff believe generally that we're moving in the right direction. But again, it's important to continue to communicate that on a daily basis. We also acknowledge we've got some concerns that we have identified and we continue to want to work on. For example, internally about harassment and bullying. That's something that we've identified as an area that we want to continually focus on and improve. You can see some of the progress in that we've made some progress, but it's still an area of concern. And one of the more recent areas that we focused on is about, do people feel safe at work? Again, so we're not dealing with the cream puff issues. We're actually dealing with the important critical issues that are the meat and potatoes and the important essential issues for our strategic plan. Lastly, you can also see, the different areas, each division has their priority areas in instructional services, CV Tech, special education, as well as our management services in all the different areas. So I want you to know that these are the core issues and the priority areas that we're working on as a team. They're the important topics that need attention, and we want to continue to improve as a goal-focused organization who's moving forward with intentional intent to make a difference to all of our students with your support and the hard work of our staff. Why? Because it's important work, it's the right work, and we have a moral purpose to what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I think that's the major message that I want to leave you with, is that we have a committed, outstanding leadership team. Our staff is dedicated and committed as well. And comprehensively, our board is supportive of all of us. And it's with your support that I'm going to now turn it over to our team members and ask Mrs. Friedman to come up and share her updates. So thank you. Yeah, I said 5 to 7, 6 minutes and 56 seconds, so we're good. So thank you.
I think you said 11.
Good evening, everyone. It is really my pleasure to share with you the work that the CV Tech division did under Mr. Brady's leadership. And I have to say, we've all really grown from having the experience working with him through this process. We have an extensive team that works on our action plan, but the work that we've done with Sean over the last 8 years really has transcended our division, in which we utilize those tools of consensus building and that convergence theory and practice into our daily operations and working with each other in our meetings, in our interview processes and whatnot. So there's a lot of other positives that have come through this work that are just not here in charts and graphs. I just wanted to have a moment to mention that. So as Dr. Davey had mentioned in a previous slide, the initiatives that were bolded were where we all believed as a district planning team that were going to be our immediate priorities. And with that, we use that to drive our divisional plan. So making sure that all of the work that's being done within the CV Tech division flows into and upward through the district plan. What I want to point out tonight is our improvement targets, where on the previous slide, you see, where should I be directing this, Alex? Okay, so on the previous slide, you'll see the 5 or the 4 areas. This next slide breaks those areas out into really the nuts and bolts of what we do at CV Tech. So if you look at, there's high school numbers, and then there's the post-secondary numbers. The previous slide of the district plan has those combined, but we really need to peel back those layers and look at our post-secondary programming and our high school daytime programming. If you look at 2021, we were knee deep into one of the most unique educational years that we've ever experienced. We were knee deep in in a schedule that had never existed before in the history of our BOCES. And we were considerably impressed with the outcomes that came out of the quantitative analysis of what we were doing. So when you look at what we were up against and we'll use the term that's overly used, but unprecedented times, the quality of teaching and learning that occurred in the division stood on its own. The one area that will probably draw your eye is the post-secondary enrollment in continuing ed courses, and that's because we did not run any night courses. We couldn't have extra folks in the building. So we know that 27 is directly related to the pandemic. However, we wanted to make sure that wasn't the rationale we used for every dip we saw. We wanted to make sure that was actually the reason, and if there were other critical factors that resulted in the numbers. We were able to maintain our graduation rates. We were able to maintain our capture of an advanced Regents designation at a steady and actually on target for our 2023 target. And we actually increased our amount of students earning dual credits while they were with us. So that was a significant accomplishment that we were very excited to know on this. The next part, it's hard for me to read, I apologize. The next part are our post-secondary completion rates. And again, our post-secondary work was inhibited by the pandemic because oftentimes our work at the one work source and in other places occurred in hours of operation that we weren't running. Or in multiple sites that were not accessible for visitors. The rest of the pages of the document that you have, and I believe you have a copy, outlines our strategies and our 4 operational committees. Our 4 operational committees are 3 are similar, similar to the work that we did back in the beginning with our equipment. We have removed the marketing from our strategic plan because we believe over the last 8 years, we have a rhythm, we have marketing tools and print and digital media components that are indicative of what our brand is as a division and no longer needed to have it addressed on an action plan in the strategic plan. It will still be a role that needs to be addressed within the division, but not at the level of the strategic plan. So that has been our determination that it does not necessarily need to be addressed. We are going to keep our one work source committee intact to expand, and actually one of the things that we are looking to do is expand our footprint in Essex County, and we are expanding our closer reach as well. And then as you go to subsequent pages, you'll see each of the 4 operational committees and the components that the teams that are working on feel that will be addressed throughout the course of the school year. The Social Emotional Learning Committee will address one of the 4 priorities in the overarching plan. So unless you have specific questions, that's really a summary of the work that was done. It was a very, very spirited group, and a lot of work was done, and super proud to continue to move this forward. Oh.
6 minutes, 38
5 to
seconds.
7.
6 minutes, 38 seconds.
So I would just like to start by saying how grateful I am. I'm grateful that before I came here, I had the opportunity to work with Sean Brady, and then to be able to come here in my first year and be able to work with Sean Brady in his last event. And I do think it was, I would put it as one of the top performances I've seen from him in my experience. What he was able to do at the DPT level, and then what he was able to do with our instructional services team was just phenomenal. So what I want to share with you is as I agree, as Director Friedman said, we've all been hit by the pandemic. But when your responsibility or a big part of what you do is provide professional development in person to schools in the area, and that is cut out from under you. And on top of that, while everyone is dealing with the pandemic, and what they really are focused on is making sure that children are safe in their buildings, even if you want to do a variety of things in a lot of different styles, people just don't have the capacity for it. So our data has definitely been impacted by the pandemic, but I think my hope and my goal in our pursuit is to really turn that around. And then there are other things not reflected in our data that we've been able to do really well in order to support districts, especially like the coasters that are growing because they provide services that districts need and need to be done in a collaborative way so that everybody gets the benefit. One of the things we did do on our team, as we had a conversation about that first data point, what is the coaster subscription number? We talked about it's kind of misleading, or could be. It doesn't really tell us if we have a problem or if we're just kind of sustaining, because what those numbers could represent. So that 235, let's say, and that 243, it could be everybody dropped out of one coaster and everybody joined a new coaster. So did we get any information like why did that one coaster completely fail and the other coaster grew? So we're going to tease it out a little bit and go back and fill in some information like, did we get new subscriptions to a coaster? And did we get people that left a coaster? Just so we have something to work with. And the rest of our data, like I said, I think we'll see it grow a little bit as we move out of the pandemic. And that's one of the things that administrator for instructional services is doing with, we meet twice a week and talk about, okay, how are we going to do this? What can we do right now? There's a substitute shortage. So we also know that people can't give a whole day to professional development. So we're talking about alternative methods that we can use when teachers don't have to be in the classroom. Mostly what we spent our time though on was, if you have a copy of a previous year's improvement plan, you will see that we did, I think what Sean called it was whiteboarding. We took out everything we'd done before and started over. And that really wasn't driven just by me, the new person in the room, but it was driven by the people from ISE, many years of services. When we looked at the improvement plans that were there before, a lot of the due dates and targets were ongoing. And Sean is the one who pointed out to us and said, well, wait a second, if all of your targets and things are just things that are ongoing, that sounds like your daily work. That sounds like the things you are supposed to be doing as part of your department and your division. Can we look at these strategies? Can we look at the priorities and really talk about what is it you want to get done and what's the timeline for that? So as we looked at the new strategies and priorities for the entire CVES, we said, what's our role in that? And so a big part of our role, provide dynamic leadership, will be not to make decisions, but to guide and lead and be a big part of the conversation for the rebranding. What is that going to look like? What are the buildings going to be named? How are we going to use our color scheme? What is all that? And our communications coaster is really going to be a big piece of that. So that's the emphasis we put in the first part of this. And then the second part that we looked at is we know that our component districts right now have been provided resources that are going to go away in the next 2 to 3 years. So what we want to do is do some research and work with those districts to find out where did they put that money, what type of student programming, and how can we help them sustain them when those grant monies run out? What can we do as a cooperative service group to support them and keep those sustaining? What are the things that are working? Where do we have good impact with students? And so we've laid out a plan that will do that, help us gather the information, look at data, and then start to say, where can we continue and help these be sustainable programs instead of when the money, this happens often, right? Grant money comes in, when the money runs out, the program stops. We want to support the district so that doesn't happen. And then the last thing that we want to focus on is this idea of the social, emotional well-being of our educational community. We talked about, one of the things we talked a lot about was the fact that what somebody finds as peaceful, relaxing, rejuvenating, another person like that doesn't work for me. So we want to spend some time coming up with finding the right survey, not developing it ourselves. We are not professionals in mental health. And what we want to do is we want to talk to people who are, and then talk to our staff across the entire CVES, our entire work group, and say, okay, what works for you? And as we get that information, then to put in place programs that are going to work for people so that they feel like what we're doing here supports them and gives them opportunities to take care of their mental health. Because we do know that if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of others. And so that's what we put together in our plan, looking to improve our data, but also really what are the strategies and priorities that we as a division need to support so that all of CVES can gain towards these strategic plans. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Director Slattery. It's hard to do this in 5 minutes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to report that the strategic planning process within the special ed division was engaging. It was collaborative, and I don't know if rambunctious would be the right word, but in certain parts it was. And that's really the brilliance behind Sean Brady's process and facilitation. And out of all that work, the best ideas, the real issues are identified. So it's really, really important. And so similarly to what was previously shared, our plan is, I want to say from scratch, practically, so probably 95% of our plan is new, 95% of our plan is brand new, and that was intentional. And it really addresses long-standing issues that are really important to our staff, issues that are important that we address. First, I'm sure you've seen these measures before. They've been shared in previous plans, and you can see we have some historical data there. Just want to touch upon this briefly. So that IEP is written with goals and needs aligned. We have made steady progress the past 3 years. We were missing one key ingredient for this process that we're able to discover with Sean. And that's really that feedback loop, or that feedback cycle that is addressed in one of our strategy plans a little later in this slide. Second, those other 3 data points all relate to social and emotional learning metrics. You'll see that first one, -67, that was really, really good. That means that we reduced the amount of physical interventions needed for our top 10 students from the first quarter to the fourth quarter. Last year, our number went up. It went up because we saw the least number of physical interventions that we've ever have used or needed to use in the division. A lot of that was due to the pandemic, right? Everyone's wearing masks. Fewer students were in the building because of the remote learning option. That's something that we're really, really proud of. But once we get into our strategies, this first one, attract, support, develop, and retain high-quality employees, was really the one that was identified as our top target by our entire divisional team. And we want to continue to provide high-quality services within special education to all of our students, to our communities, to our component districts. And it starts with hiring the best and brightest people that are out there, developing their skills, and then retaining them. So what we're going to do, we want to target SUNY Plattsburgh and strengthen our partnership with them. They have a great education program. And realistically, our programming differs from our component districts. What we do in special education is a much more specialized sense of programming in terms of the professional development that's needed to service students across the region. A lot of, I'm going to call them kids, college kids, don't know what goes on in a BOCES because they've never had that experience. They rely on their own internal experiences growing up in elementary and secondary school. So we want to really make sure that they know what we do, what it looks like. Our goal, SUNY Plattsburgh doesn't know this yet, but our goal is to get all their kids to have a experience with us. What that experience looks like, maybe it's a practicum experience, maybe it's a 2-week observation, but something where their feet are in the door, they're seeing our programs and our kids firsthand. So that's one of our major goals with that first priority. The second one I want to highlight has to do with achieving equitable access to all programs and services. So Dr. Davey, under his leadership and with the Board of Education, I believe last year we started a diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative. This falls perfectly in line with that initiative, and it falls under the capital I for inclusion. So as a premier service provider for special education services, it's really, really important, and it's the law that students that are classified access the least restrictive environment. So what we want to do, we want to partner with our component districts to have CVES programming in that traditional school setting. So our students can have access, whether it's special area classes, that regular ed setting, traditional setting with non-disabled peers, want to be able to provide that on our continuum of services. We used to do that maybe 10 years ago. We really want to get back to that place. Ideally, if all things go well, we need the pandemic to end. We need some of our component districts to have space available to us. Would love to offer that in our continuum of the 2023-24 school year. It sounds like it's a long ways away, but realistically, it's only 2 budget cycles away. It's going to be here before we know it. So I want to start having those conversations now. The last 3 action steps or strategies really are a continuation, kind of a step up from some long-standing issues. The first one is finding time. Time is our most precious commodity in education right now. We never have enough of it. But when you have multiple service providers working to support one student, it's important that they have time to collaborate together to maximize those services. Our next one has to do with training our staff. We need to make sure that we're diversifying and targeting our training for staff, depending on where they are at in that continuum, so that they can continue to develop the highest quality IEPs as possible. And then finally, this last one really falls under the social, emotional, and mental health needs of our educational community. Continuing our work with our circle ups, continuing the development of our counseling model, and continuing to track those data when it comes to student restraints and physical interventions. Finally, I'm sure you've noticed on this chart, something that we're calling key trend data. So previously, we didn't really think that the special ed division did a great job of tracking certain data points. And so we worked with Sean. He was able to provide some information that other BOCES use. We compiled it, and we added some additional information. So this is key trend data that we're going to use year in and year out to really measure the health of our programming and how successful our students are. And I'm going to end on that note. If there's any questions, please feel free to reach out or through Dr. Davey. I'd like to turn it over to Assistant Superintendent. Mr. Bell.
Mr. Snyder. Thank you. I'm going to jump in by starting with our name change of our group. We previously were Central Admin and O&M. A bit confusing for some individuals. So our group did change our name to Administrative and Management Services, just so you all are aware. District Office, Management Services, Operation Management are all part of this group for our strategic planning process. We evaluated 4 metric points at this point in time. 3 had data, 1's brand new, which is our Benefit Coordination Office. I'll dive into that in a little bit. Our full-time employee retention here, you can see, doesn't tell us a lot of information. That's one thing that our group discussed, is how can we dive into the data so we can see what is the true issue here? Where may be our positions that need more support with more development? So we're actually going to look at more data points for our employee retention. I know our friends in the special education division have requested that as well. And then I'm going to talk to you about some of our action steps given that data that we looked at in our group. First item is on my list is going to be the onboarding of staff. So our numbers that you saw for our new employee orientation, 61, 53, 48, not great. What we did is we created a secondary new employee orientation we hold in mid-year. And we also offered a virtual option. We gave them opportunity. Opportunity clearly wasn't the problem. So we're looking at different action steps where you could provide it in a different manner, virtually, mandatory training type stuff that we provide online, a different venue to offer, because we don't think that the number of times is the issue. Now we think it's just the mode that we gave them. The onboarding, we're focusing on the attract, support, develop, retain high quality employees. That's very important to our group. The next item we were looking at is the exit interviews. I saw on Director Slattery's slides, working with us on the exit interview process. The reason for this is we had a significant number of individuals leave our organization in the last few months. Only 4 took us up on an exit interview. So in 2021, we implemented an exit interview process. If you submitted a resignation letter or retirement letter, you received notification from the management services team to meet with myself in person or virtual. And only 4 people took us up on that offer. All others did decline the opportunity. So we're going to look at changing our practice this year so we can get as much feedback as we can from all employees who are leaving. And we're going to work with our divisions and teams on that process to improve it. Next is Benefit Coordination Office. You saw we look at new metrics there. We have Vicki Drew leading that as our benefits director. We want to take full advantage of this group. We want to use our Benefit Coordination Office to support the over 9,500 lives in our health insurance consortium. And our Benefit Coordination Office also works with our 15 school districts. So what can they do to support their employees? Really talking about social emotional health. What can we do with that group, with our health insurance consortium, with all of our school districts to support the needs of our staff as well as our retirees? So a big focus there you see on maximizing the use of that team. Only a year in their infancy. They've been doing amazing work right now. We're going to monitor it. We don't want to push them too hard, too fast. But we see great opportunity and we see a great need for this work. Next, we're looking at professional development across the organization as well as regionally. But for us, we want to look at one of the big discussions for our group was we have different management groups that do not get training as they go into their position. And some specific ones, for example, are a director of facilities, a transportation director, a cafeteria manager. Oftentimes they get their positions through civil service tests. It's not through a training route or certification like your principal may have. A director or a superintendent goes through a training process to be certified in order to have that position. So we see a gap there. We want to give management and leadership training to those individuals offered to our school districts and help them be the best that they can be in their jobs. Lastly, on the slide here, you can see planning for our phase 2 capital project. We're winding down phase 1. Our group needs to start now focusing on completing that design process. The Facility Advisory Committee already created a list for us. We know what our needs are. A lot of it couldn't fit into the original capital project. Now we're going to work on designing those that have already been identified. Let's execute that plan and focus on construction in the summer of 2020. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. With that, I'll pass it back to Dr. Davies.
So as we conclude our presentation, I want to thank our leadership team, each of our directors and assistant superintendents were key leaders in this process. And we've talked about it and you're aware, and I know Mr. Harriman, you were there this year for the entire conversation. This was a comprehensive overhaul and update of our strategic plan. Think back to this building 18 months ago. We would be standing in the middle of a hangar, surrounded by aircraft equipment and probably a storm drain, right about where I'm standing. Okay, we gutted the building and now have rebuilt it. This strategic plan update this year was a comprehensive redesign of the entire strategic plan from start to finish, to be updated, to be strengthened, and also to move forward with the most important priorities. Retain high quality staff. Also understand what qualifications and what environment is needed to have them feel good about being here, but also be very good at what they do. Be creative, be innovative, and have cutting edge and nationally recognized programs. Provide for the social emotional health health of our staff, who can then provide for the social, emotional health and needs of our students. Let's be totally honest, the pandemic has been devastating and really emotionally challenging for every child throughout our country. We can work with the students here in the North Country, and we want to support our students and their families. And lastly, to support the diversity, the special ethnicity, and all of the special characteristics of our students so that they feel recognized, and also we celebrate the uniqueness to help each student be successful. Our core values are tied to our mission. Our mission and vision are tied to what we do on a daily basis. And again, it's the right purpose, it's the right reason, and we're doing it to help support the mission of our students and their ultimate success. Lastly, I'll just share with you our strategic planning calendar. You can see where we are. Tonight, we're October 13th for our presentation to the board, and we're going to ask for your approval of our updates. Again, I commend our leaders for their dynamic and outstanding work and that of our teams. We've laid an updated roadmap for the direction of this organization to go forward, and the board's support and conversation at our retreat reinforces every aspect of this plan. And then we had a comprehensive conversation about strengthening our own DEI initiatives. So I thank you for your support. You can see our outline and our timeline throughout the process. And through the year, our next step would be having a December update, a January DPT update, and then a mid-year review to say, where are we and how are we doing? So we're again committed to the process and the timeline. And lastly, I want to thank the board for your continued support, which is making a difference. It's a key factor in helping us move forward successfully. So I thank you and helping us create a brighter future for all of us. And I'd like to open the floor up, President St. Pierre, to any board members who have questions, or any of our team members who can assist in answering any clarifying points.
I'm glad to hear that you did all this updating before a friend left us for. Hopefully we can find someone to replace it next year. Other than that, any question, we'll move on.
And we've got a busy year ahead of us to tackle, whether it's rebranding and updating our image and up websites and so on and so forth, whether continue to support our employees. Every aspect of our plan, again, is designed to help us improve and also continue a dynamic organization for the future and the support of our students moving forward. Again, playing key roles as stewards of the resources that have been provided for the future. Thank you.
Weaver District Superintendent's update is next.
Okay. So the board has a handout in terms of my update. Just a couple of items I'm going to touch upon. As you just heard, a variety of updates from our strategic plan. But at the board, should be receiving and is receiving the weekly staff updates that have a comprehensive overview about our number of cases, as well as our staff exciting things and the latest cutting edge events that are happening. So I do want to acknowledge and thank all of our team members who are helping support that. And I think the communication on a weekly basis, one of my goals for the year is to continue to provide updates to our staff so they feel engaged and also aware of what's happening throughout our BOCES. A couple of other items I want to touch upon: the CEWW Health Insurance and Workers' Compensation Consortium meeting update. We had our fall meeting. It was an outstanding meeting. I'll share with you, a few years ago, our consortium was really struggling financially and trying to cut costs. On the basis of this meeting and the outcome of the direction that we've been going, some really positive changes have occurred. Our reserves at this time are over $40 million. There was a time when we actually had a mid-year increase because we were afraid that the consortium could have run a negative balance. So within the span of 3 years, there's been a lot of hard work. Our superintendents, Mr. Bell, our team, our advisory group, been an amazing, change, including updating the providers. So they're very successful. Our Workers' Compensation Consortium, the balance is over $1 million. Again, positive trend data and watching the details on that. Lastly, I want to acknowledge our benefits office, which we've pushed for with the board support of our CSOs. This year, for example, in our dependent eligibility audit, and other identified cost savings, we've saved over $1.5 million. There were, I believe, Mr. Bell, I think it was 87 individuals needed to come off. We did have some unfortunate members who are no longer part of the plan because they're deceased. There were 7 members that we were paying expenses for that were identified. So over $1.5 million in savings with our dependent eligibility audit. Kudos to our health benefits office and the support of the board. Again, very positive. We're watching, we're improving our services, and the level of support is really strong. The DEI initiative for the next bullet is one of our items at the board retreat was to share what's some of the information that the board has received already and what has the state education department talked about and provided. Some of that information was provided to you to allow us to review it. You have the policy on diversity, equity, and inclusion that was provided and approved by the Board of Regents in May. It actually outlines, the goal of what it's about and why this is important. And really part of that major emphasis is, confirming that a warm and affirming environment's important, high expectations and rigor, provide ongoing support, but also support the education of all students. You also have a handout which includes a recent brochure and a recent overview from the State Education Department about a roadmap. And you've heard CRT referenced a few times. I know there's been some controversy about it. There's 2 aspects of what is the critical race theory, and that's a social construct. So it does provide some background about where it came from and that it's been misinterpreted in many cases. There's also culturally relevant teaching as another aspect that's was often used as CRT. So we want to make sure that you're aware and have the background to understand, some of the social constructs of what these issues where they've come from, and what they were meaning as they were unveiled. And our goal will be to help educate the board, but also help make sure our superintendents understand, and then connect in the North Country to make sure our education leaders and our communities are aware, that we're really providing, high quality education for all students, and that all students means all. So I think those are some of the major points, but I wanted you to see not only what was available, what the State Education Department has emphasized, and what's the rationale for this moving forward. So we will continue to garner additional information so that the board can be well informed and also bring it forward to your own school communities as well. If there are any questions, I'll move forward with a few other updates. The COVID updates as well. The CVES report card, I will send that out electronically, and it's in our shared folder. As of today, we have had in both our Clinton and Essex County schools that make up CEWW BOCES, including CVES, 295 positive COVID cases of staff and students. A year ago, when we were hybrid and some of our schools were still remote, on November 18th, there had been 16 cases. So I want you to be aware that, we're continuing, we have well-designed plans, but with the vaccinations that are available, especially for our older students, for our staff, and also weekly testing, we have multi-layered approaches to keep in-person as a priority. And then also the design is that if there are hotspots, to actually have those schools go remote. And so far this year, we've had several elementary schools, including one in Saranac, one in Peru, one in Osable Valley, Youthville, that did take a week pause to break the cycle of infection spread, and it seems to have been working. Again, working very closely with both our Essex and Clinton County Health Departments to address those concerns and also support the contact tracing that's needed. So there is ongoing support, and we want you to be aware that that information is available. Lastly, our COVID testing has been moving forward in both counties. Essex County Health Department is leading the Essex County testing. Again, quadrant lab pool testing. In our transmittal, you had a picture. It looked almost like a lollipop. That actually is what the swab that they use for the mouth. It's a saliva base, and they put in a tube and send it off. Clinton County is also using the same test. Our Essex County schools will have Abbott ID Now machines that actually will be testing in 15 minutes for symptomatic students. and they'll actually be able to get a result that they can bring to their doctors or know they can come back to school once they're feeling better, if they're negative. In Clinton County, we're still continuing to roll out the pool testing of staff and now students. I can share with you just in terms of an update. The first week in Clinton County, our CVES testing team tested 192 individuals. These were staff. The second week, it was 295. The third week, it was 334. That's now continuing to expand. In CVS, the first week, we tested 120 of our staff members. The second week, we tested 53, and last week it was 57. I can provide this information to the board so you're aware of it, but we want you to know that our team is doing a great job. Mr. Lozier stepping up. He's working very closely with our superintendents and our nurses, as well as the health department. Why? To make sure that we have a finger on the pulse of our COVID tests and what's happening out there in our schools. Lastly, a few other items. I'll just share with you that we have, for our board, 2 vacancies on the board. We do have an individual from the Northeastern School District where Ms. Guy Horn, our longtime board member, had come from until her unfortunate passing. We do have an individual who has expressed interest with the superintendent and the Northeastern Clinton community to come and consider moving forward with serving in the role. I know Mr. St. Pierre will be discussing that and looking at that recommendation moving forward. And then we still will have one other vacancy with the resignation of one of our board members, Mr. Gerber from Peru. We do have some upcoming events. I know CV Tech has some virtual open houses coming up. So Mrs. Friedman will pass that along. If any of our board members would like to be able to attend, we can just pass that out electronically as all of our board members are on.
It's in the CV Tech board report.
Okay.
Are right in there.
So, and the links are there too. We can just remind everybody, but we acknowledge and thank you for that. I think that's coming up in the very near future as well.
21st.
Yes, 21st and 22nd. And then I know special education, Mr. Slattery will also be providing updates about. Yes. And lastly, our next board meeting will be at the Mineville campus, which would be on the 10th of November. Again, it will have the option to have virtual and so hybrid, virtual and in person. We'd also like to plan on a board tour to be able to show the board the updates. So we'll plan, there's no audit committee next month. So we can plan on coming a little early and providing a tour for the board. Last item I'd just like to share with you, and that is Mrs. Campbell and I recently had a conversation with SUNY Plattsburgh, with their dean, Dr. Dana, and their department chair, Ms. Carrie Zappis-Pemi, yes. Dr. Zappis-Pemi, who is the chairperson. And we're looking, and we'll be talking about that tomorrow as well with our chief school officers, offering an administrative pathways program where we can work with our superintendents and identify potential candidates for future leadership training. And so it's an opportunity to kind of lay the groundwork to have districts identify some future leaders and then support their professional development for a year, be able to get some exposure about what's meant by a teacher leadership or an administrative leadership position and what are the opportunities that might be available. I will share some updates with that, but we really had a great conversation. I know in the Wishy-Bosies, they had a program a few years ago with over 30 individuals, and many of them ultimately enrolled in their administrative program. And I know, for example, you may remember, for the board members who've been on the board a long time, the GOAL program. If you remember back, it was a grow your own administrative leadership team. And I know, Ms. Campbell, you were one of those candidates who came through that program. I think Mr. Mayberry also came through that program. You're superintendent now in Keene. So some really outstanding individuals who came through that program. I don't know if any of our other, Ms. Friedman, I think you were already an administrator then, perhaps, weren't you? So with that. Yes, you're one of the speakers. Okay, there we go. So with that said, that's something that will be coming forward and we'll give you more information about as well. Okay, thank you. If there's anything else, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, well, we've gone now to the Minutes to the previous meeting, need a motion to approve. Who was first?
Here.
Oh, Mr. Harris, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried. New business, approval of the annual independent audit.
Second.
Lisa, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Adoption of the 21 to 24 district strategic plans. Motion by. Lisa, second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried.
You've got C as a resignation of Victoria. It's,
That's for the personnel or the?
that's on your business.
Oh, okay. So
That's under personnel. Doing that.
is it 11C?
About 8 and 9.
Oh, yeah, there's an 11C there. Okay. Motion to accept the letter of resignation.
Here.
Lisa, second. Chairman, all in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Carried.
No, it's.
Okay, so the consent agenda for the financial.
Motion.
The second, all those in favor?
Aye.
School breakfast lunch rate increases, motion by.
That was in.
I couldn't hear.
That was under the consent.
It's under consent agenda right up to the end.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No old business. All right, consent agenda personnel.
Got. Got to remove. Ashley Brown. Additional work. And no resolution, M gets eliminated.
Okay. Need a motion to approve as amended. Lisa, second, right? Chairman. Favor?
Aye.
Carried. And for the Department of Educational Services resignation, CVES board member, 3, motion.
Here.
Second.
Yep.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
B 15B, adopt the revised policy. Order 34. Motion by. So second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Annual report on reserves, 15C, order 35.
No action on that.
Oh, that was no action. Tuition refund resolution, motion.
Second.
Second by. The second.
Mr. Harriman.
Oh, Mr. Harron. Favor?
Aye.
And carried.
And Mr. St. Pierre, that was for a class that due to the pandemic wasn't able to be offered.
Okay,
The class had been offered just to start. Our policy is once essentially you have a class and it begins, you're not able to have a refund. In this case, the class essentially was stopped due to the pandemic. So there was no opportunity to finish the class. And we worked with Mrs. Friedman so that that individual could have their money back, and we have not offered the class since. So we appreciate the board's understanding that, our normal policy wasn't really applicable. Previously, I had under the executive order timeline, the board had given me extra duty, extra responsibility to be able to make certain decisions through the pandemic. Since the executive orders have been stopped, my policy and the consultation, my authority based on the policy the approval that the board has given me is no longer valid because there's no more executive order. So we did ask the board to provide that update. Thank you.
if there's nothing else, we'll need a motion to adjourn.
You get the rest of it.
Gonna go to, the agenda. 11C, another resignation.
Oh, this is more, great.
That was the.
Not
I made a suggestion. I'm just gonna be honest, we're all wearing masks. I cannot hear Richard. Bruce is.
Victoria Wilkins.
Megan is. I
Resignation.
would suggest maybe, can we get like a microphone of some sort? Because seriously, I doubt that they can hear us at all. And not everybody's voice moves like some of us do. Just a thought.
So that's a good suggestion. We can look at that as part of our audio visual updates as well. So that's a good suggestion. Thank you, Mr. Simon.
We're still on 11C.
11C or 11D?
11C.
Okay.
To recommend that the board accept the following letter of resignation.
Okay, so need a motion? Second? So who's the second? So, all in favor? Opposed?
D is recommend the board approve the following substitutes temporary on call. That's Joey Rice's title as bus driver.
Motion. One second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
11E, recommend the board establish the following temporary on call rates for the lifeguard, hour 16.
Motion. Mark, second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
And 11, recommended the board appoint Jesse position of deputy claims auditor effective September 1st, 2020.
Mark, second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Think that's it? Now we can do
Can I just say something before we adjourn?
Sure.
I just want to just give kudos and a great thank you not only to Valerie and her students, but it's always such a special gift to us to receive something so sentimental. And really, it means a lot. So please extend our thank yous to your students. They did an exceptional job this year. And also thank you to the culinary students. That always makes the day the best, is when students actually get the opportunity to come in here and present to us, showing us that what they're working on and that they're still proud of what they do. And it shows, even if they're a little shy coming into it, it definitely shows that we truly appreciate it. And the food was exceptional. So please accept that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, if not, anything else? We need a motion by Bruce. Second. Second, as a chairman, to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
And to our virtual attendees, thank you for attending
Yes.
on our hybrid model. Carol, Mr. Billing, thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, thank you. We look forward to seeing everyone back